That's sweet. That's cute. All right. Last thing, yesterday. Last thing we finished up yesterday, we talked about the Krebs cycle. So we went through glycolysis. We talked about Krebs cycle. I'll let Cody hat off. Get your notes out, please. And the last cycle we're going to be talking about, or the last part of cell respiration, the last biochemical pathway, according to our objectives, is the electron transport chain. So let's review real quick what was made in the Krebs cycle. ATP was made. NADH. You want to say pH, but that's from photosynthesis. But nice job, good connection. This is just NADH, just another carrier protein, carrier molecule. And then we had FADH, and we had some CO2 that was released. But the important things we want to know that are made: NADH, some ATP, and FADH. These three things here are going to then carry over into the last part, which is this bad boy right here, the electron transport chain. Similar, yes, similar to the one in photosynthesis. You're right. But if you look here, what does this one not have that the one in photosynthesis did have? The photosystem. That's what you meant, right? Yeah. Because in order for the electrons to get excited in those photosystems, sunlight hit them. Okay? So, in this one here, there is no sunlight that's going to hit them, or there's no photosystems. Okay? This can happen in the light and the dark. But that's the purpose of the FADH and NADH that are in here. So, next one here. So you guys all have these done. Right? Okay. Electron transport chain, enzymes and carrier lines, the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So this is again similar. It's on the inner membrane of, this is the mitochondria. And that in the photosynthesis, it was the thylakoid. But that's where those carrier molecules are going to line up. The electrons then travel from carrier to carrier, moving toward the lower energy level of the final acceptor, which is oxygen. NADH then delivers hydrogen to the ions to the inside of the matrix, or inside of the mitochondria. The matrix then, the oxygen combines with hydrogen to form water is formed. Remember in photosynthesis, that first part of the electron transport chain in photosynthesis, what happened to the water? It was what? Broken. Yeah, it was split. Oxygen was released, and hydrogen stayed inside. This is kind of opposite now. Hydrogen's there. It combines with, that's why it's aerobic respiration, meaning oxygen is present. When hydrogen and oxygen come together, they have a big old party and make water. Okay? And then without oxygen, the electron transport chain would not occur because that hydrogen would not be able to be accepted from the NADH here. So, this is exactly what happens. NADH and FADH bring these electrons to the electron transport chain. They then go to these carrier molecules again. Carrier molecules meaning they're just carrying the electrons down the chain. And then finally, they go to the chain. Hydrogen builds up inside of here because the hydrogen ions are then released from the NAD to create, for the hydrogen to build up inside of this. They attach to the oxygen to create water. Where do you think these NADH and FADH molecules go back to?
The Krebs cycle.
Nice! They go back to the Krebs cycle, okay? So then that's a cycle in itself as well. We have a cycle being from photosynthesis to cell respiration with that glucose coming in, but then we also have a cycle with the NADH and FADH going back to the Krebs cycle. Very good. Then once the hydrogen is all built up inside of here, it again goes through this process of chemiosmosis, putting a phosphate group with ADP to create ATP. So our last slide just simply was this. As in the light-dependent reactions, ATP is generated by chemiosmosis. And then as the electrons move down the energy gradient, we definitely get tons and tons of adenosine triphosphate. So it actually kind of works similar to that of photosynthesis. The only thing is we don't have that light is not totally required to excite those. That's what the NADH and FAD do. So last thing here, the electron transport chain. Aerobic respiration makes 10 NADH and 2 FADH molecules. Each NADH molecule yields 30 ATP. So what's 30 times 10? I meant, sorry, 3 times 10, my bad. 30 times 10 is 10. Great. We got 30, and then what is 2 times 10? No. Sorry, what's 2 times 2?
4.
Okay. So 34 molecules of ATP are made in the electron transport chain. So this is what our energy is yielding about in terms of cell respiration. We have 1 glucose molecule, goes through glycolysis, can make 2 ATP, goes through the Krebs cycle, can make 2 ATP. Then in the electron transport chain of cell respiration, mitochondria makes 34. So what's 34 plus 4? We get about a grand total of 38 ATP that are yielded or made in photosynthesis or in cell respiration. So in summary, how many ATP are made at the end of cell respiration? About how many? 36 to 38. I mean, that is just that 38 was just kind of an about number. What are the products of the Krebs cycle? Anybody remember? Go back yesterday. Yes, FADH and NADH and some ATP. And then what are the products at the end of the electron transport chain? We just have a ton and ton of ATP. Yeah, did you guys do that?
No.
If you did not type that out, what was the slide like for you? Yeah, yes. Go ahead, write the number. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. You mean on the summary? Yeah, go ahead on the summary. I do want you to type in the answers to this. So how many ATP are made at the end of cell respiration?
How many?
Let's see if that works here. Oh, that's supposed to work. So it's calibrated.
Oh, you better take it, put it in the rat nest.
I might put it in that old rat nest. Oh. Oh, that's what I got to do. Yeah. My bad. There we go. All right.
Oh, don't work.
Works.
Can I fix it before you do it?
No, I got to do this whole calibration deal. See if it works. It's not working either.
If you look at the board, it tells you where your deal is.
Do I use that right?
I watch the board when you poke it. Ain't gonna do that now. Yeah, see it?
Oh, there it is. That one's not going, is it? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Only
Okay.
the bottom ones work.
We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, then I'll just get it. Okay. Yeah, but in this, I do want you to write in here, how many ATP are made at the end of cell respiration? What about 38 of them? What products are in the Krebs cycle? Somebody said NADH, FADH, which again are carrier molecules, and then also some ATP. And then what are the products of the electron transport chain? Just simply ATP. There is, I guess, and H2O is also made. Water is also made.
All right, you could argue NAD plus.
Yeah. You could move. you could say those are some of the products that then go back into the reactants of the Krebs cycle. True. But
Wait.
all right, I got a couple slides here, and hopefully everybody has these. Now, how does this apply a little bit to agronomy, crop production, horticulture? What? You guys got 11th place.
Yeah, 11th.
You did awesome. You realize that?
So I guess.
Yeah, there was like 140 teams in that contest.
And I guess.
You guys got 11.
Top 10, so we don't get pizza.
What?
Yeah.
I might make an exception if you do it again.
I guess on every single
What's a
one.
natural
because
If you do it next year.
Okay, I'll do it next year.
What, Delaney?
So I guess on every single one of those.
Yeah, we need to grow those weeds so then you guys don't freak out.
I
So
had no
natural
idea.
resource.
And 45 seconds is hard to understand.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm like,
Okay, we'll talk about that. Stop.
She already hit me once.
Stop. Don't do that to each other.
She already hit me once.
We'll have to separate you two.
No.
Okay, don't do that. Okay, anyways, back to agronomy. It's important to understand how this works because if your plants aren't growing well, it could be some of these things that happen. For crop management, it says if nighttime temperatures are too high or too low, the growth stages are going to be all messed up on them. And you're not going to be able to get the record harvest that you want. Also, post-harvest handling, respiration is closely tied to that rotting or degradation, which is just another term for rotting, of your crops that are harvested. So sometimes you need to refrigerate them or add more nitrogen to, I guess, the plants. And this really would refer to probably more crops in terms of garden plants as well.
Hey, rats
Already
like
have
rotten
that.
stuff.
Yeah, they probably do.
Who's
So I'd maybe stay away from them. And again, anaerobic respiration occurs without the oxygen present, and then we said that fermentation happens, and then it's used to make all sorts of ethanol is made at the end, or alcohol is made, used to make silage. So that is an important roughage for feeding cattle. Some of you probably feed silage or make silage for your cows, and it smells good, doesn't it?
That's what my dad said.
I think you don't think
I
it
think
smells
it
good.
smells. Okay, it smells okay until it's the middle of summer and it's fermenting the smell.
Well, that could be. Then it might be too
And
strong.
then the
Huh?
winds out the north and
Then you don't like that smell.
I think it smells great,
makes
like
me
right after
sneeze.
you make it.
And then you
Right after you
sneeze.
make
It does, but like everything makes me sneeze.
Yeah.
That really doesn't say much.
But you can't smell, so you wouldn't even be able to smell it. Sorry.
Well, what have you been snorting?
And then that's just a summary of plants. When a cell plant decides if it has oxygen, it's going to go through the Krebs cycle, then the electron transport chain. If it does not have oxygen, it's going to either go to lactic acid or ethanol. Alcoholic fermentation that way. So, okay, that's end of the notes. I got one. We're going to finish bumping here real quick. Oh, the money. He's back at it with you all. V Money's last one. He's going to say goodbye to you forever.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy V Money. We are back with the third and final step, which is ETC. Now, some of you guys might be like, yo, V Money, what's ETC?
Yo, V Money. Oh, you guys.
I'm about to
There,
tell you.
that's what I was waiting for.
ETC stands for Electron Transport Chain. ETC also takes place inside of the mitochondria.
Hold on, Cody. Head up. Head up. Okay, everybody, eyes up here, please.
Now, as you can see in this picture, we have the mate
Because the mitochondrial matrix, the inner part of the mitochondria.
and the intermembrane space to the left. Here's the inner mitochondrial membrane in the middle. And we're going to see hydrogens going back and forth. So on the next slide, we're going to flip this around. So now we have the matrix at the bottom, and at the top is the intermembrane space, and that middle pink is the inner mitochondrial membrane. What happens is an NADH molecule comes up to this, and it will drop off its 2 electrons into that first green blob. Now, some might say, what is that green blob? Well, it is just simply protein. So it drops off these 2 electrons into the protein, and there it is right there. And the NADH turned back into NAD+, and it released one of these H ions out into this, out into the matrix. As the 2 electrons enter that protein, it'll attract the hydrogens.
Boom, hydrogens are coming.
That electron over to the next one, and that H ion will also have that speed cell going up from that attraction, and will go through the protein into the intermembrane space. Now the electron is in the second protein, and it attracts another hydrogen ion, and the same process happens where it comes up and hits it over, and then, as you can see, all the way to the left, that hydrogen ion is just now exiting the protein. And then the 2 electrons now in the third protein and attracting that hydrogen ion. This hydrogen ion that is coming up will bump the 2 electrons over into the fourth protein, where it will come down and separate the 2 oxygen atoms. Now, these oxygen atoms were O2, but now they're split, and it also combines that one oxygen atom with 2 H+ ions to form H2O,
Water.
or one water molecule. These 2 electrons will not only do that, but it will also spin the ATP synthase, which is right there. Now, the ATP synthase is this blue color thing. I'm not sure if it's blue. I'm colorblind. But when it spins,
money.
hydrogen will enter
Be
into
money.
the top, and ADP
Just because somebody's
and a
colorblind doesn't make
phosphate
them
group
stupid.
will be waiting at the bottom. As this hydrogen comes down, it'll spin the ATP synthase and form the ADP and the P-phosphate group, and it'll take those and form an ATP. And that was all from just one NADH. But we're not done yet. Not only does one hydrogen atom come down, but a second one comes down. And as this one comes down, another ADP molecule and another phosphate group is waiting there. And when that hydrogen molecule comes down,
Boom, another
the
one.
ATP synthase, and it forms another
2
ATP
ATPs from an NADH.
And I'll have a count for you at the end. And then another third hydrogen ion.
3 of them.
Down into the matrix through ATP synthase. And this comes down and spins, and once again, it forms ATP. Well, so far, from one NADH molecule, we have formed 3 ATP. Now, to talk about the FADH2 molecules, these 2 electrons enter the second protein instead of the first. And as they enter that one, once again, the hydrogen ions will come up because they're attracted. So you can see in the bottom left, it's now FAD instead of FADH2. And these hydrogens are going to come up, bump these 2 electrons over into the next one. Those hydrogens will proceed to go up from the matrix into the intermembrane space. And then it'll go into the third protein, and the hydrogen ions will come up and bump the 2 electrons over into the next protein, where it will fall down and once again split up the O2, and it will form H2O.
More
Now,
water made.
ATP synthase happens again, and hydrogen ions are going to come at the APT synthase, come down, it's going to spin the ATP synthase at the bottom, and the ADP and the P-phosphate group will go to ATP, and that ATP will go to the side. Then a second one will come in and do the same thing. Here we go. Now that ATP will go off to the side, and that is the electron transport chain. From one FADH molecule, we got 2 ATP, and from one NADH molecule, we got 3 ATP. This takes us to our final page, and since we started with 10 NADH, and each NADH makes 3 ATP, that got us 30. And since we started off with 2 FADH, each one of those gave us 2 ATP, that gives us a total of 34. And one of the reactions was the 34 ADP and 34 phosphates. Now our products were 10 NAD+, 2 FAD+, and 6 H2O. And we are left with the 34 ATP, as I already mentioned. And this is also the net of the electron transport chain, because once again, we did not enter any ATP. The overview of cellular respiration is that we made 38 total ATP.
Glycolysis, Krebs, and
ATP
ETC.
that was made was 36 because we used 2 ATP in the first stage, which was glycolysis. Thank you for watching this wonderful
Boom.
instructional video. And you know, if you ever need another one, just holla at your boy.
The money.
We have to
This is not bumping right here. That's more like rocking and learning. That's like rocking and learning. With V money.
Can I go bathroom?
Go real quick. Okay, I need everybody to, if you have not, turn in your. I need to do this probably first though too.